seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, and I'm glad to be here with you. I'm very thankful that you're here with us on this October the 15th, Wednesday, October the 15th, 2025. I can't believe that it's this late in the month already. Half the month is over of October. It's just flying by. Maybe as I'm getting older, I don't know. It just is what it is. Time is flying. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM every weekday morning, roughly between the hours of 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. We didn't have a show yesterday. We were off for the Thanksgiving long weekend, and hopefully everyone had a really great time with their families or their friends, or both, and or even if it was just by yourself or with a small group of people, large group of people, whatever you did this weekend. I hope you had a really great Thanksgiving weekend. You're able to give thanks for things that you're thankful for, and celebrate the holiday for what it's meant to be celebrated for. And so we weren't on yesterday. Technical difficulties. There's so many working parts to get this show going each and every morning. It was a simple iPad malfunction. So, one part of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things, 8 pieces of hardware that something could go wrong. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of software on top of the 8 pieces of hardware. So anything can go wrong with any one of those things. And if anything does go wrong, the show more than often can't go ahead because we got to be on the radio and streaming live on the internet. Sometimes if there's software to do at the radio, then we'll go ahead and do the live on Facebook and YouTube. But that's the only time that we can go ahead when there's a problem. But today there's no problems, and here we are, and we're gonna have a great show regardless. We'll be live on Facebook and YouTube. We're also going to be on demand on those two platforms afterwards, along with x.com/Sudbury News and Sudbury.news, which is our news aggregator. Visit it for all the latest local news. We've put it up there in response to our federal government's policies that don't allow news agencies to have their news, or people to share news, even from outside Canada, on it, on Facebook or Instagram. Facebook being the world's largest social media platform, and the one that the demographic of people who consume news mostly use, right? So it's not TikTok, it's not Snapchat, it's not any of these other, it's Facebook that the main audience that consumes news uses Facebook, and that's the one that the federal government, because they're saying they wanted to make more money for media outlets, but let's face it, at the end of the day, it allows them to not have to have news stories about what they're doing being shared and people being more in the know, which at the end of the day serves them. And we'll see a lot of these C2, C9, C8, the Online Harms Act, all these things are moving towards more censorship, not less. And you can see that's, the fact that news can't be shared on Facebook plays into these bills that they're creating, obviously. So it seems like it's not to do with paying reporters or paying news outlets more money. It's to do with they don't want news to be shared as easily. That's just my view about it, because that's what I do each and every day in the morning, is we look at the news and we talk about it, and that's what this show is for. So without further ado, let's jump right in and start off with a little bit of weather and get that out of the way. We'll be back with news headlines and more right after the weather, so stay tuned. It's going to be a great show. And as usual, Sudbury weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. It's currently 4 degrees. It's mostly cloudy. Today we can expect partly cloudy, then becoming sunny this morning. Wind will be moderate. High of 12. UV index 3 or moderate. Tonight, clear and a low of +1, as we can see, just hovering around that 0 mark overnight lately. Thursday, tomorrow, sunny. High of 12. And then overnight clear and a low of +2, so similar today and tomorrow, pretty much carbon copy of each other. And then Friday, just in time for the weekend, 60% chance of showers, same high of 12. And then 16 is your high on Saturday with a 40% chance of showers. And then Sunday, showers and high of 12. 13 is your high on Monday, forecast anyways, and 40% chance of showers. 40% chance of showers forecast on Tuesday. But as we can see, the last forecast we did last week showed that, the next 7 days were going to be cloudy or rainy. And we had a lot of sunny days during that time. So it is what it is. That's the forecast. It's your Sudbury weather. It's brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. Okay, and lots to talk about in terms of local news today, and I hope to get all that in, and I was hoping to have a bunch of deep dives. We might have to divert the deep dives to tomorrow's show just because there's so much local news going on, but it is what it is. And good morning to Mary Ann, all the way from Barrie, who's liking and sharing it as usual, the show that is. And Judy, good morning to you. Thanks for being on. Hazel, good morning. Prayer emoji, much needed, much appreciated. And Larry, I thought there was no show again today. LOL. Yeah, well, surprise, we're here. And also going on to say good morning, fellow Canadians. Monique, grand rising, heart emoji, much needed as well. And Nana, we got Nana on YouTube here with looks like a new handle. Hello and welcome back. Great to see you fixed that pesky machine. Blessings, everyone. Yes. Well, it's not even a matter of fixing it. Just things happen that, let's say the power goes out overnight and I'm not aware of it. Well, that'll just trigger the iPad to stop charging. And then by the show, there's no juice in it or not enough juice to do the show. There's about 1,000 things can affect any one of the devices we use that then, you try to plan as much as you can and make backups as much as you can. But it is what it is. And we just roll forward. We just continue. And we go, okay, we can't do that today. We just continue the next day. And Marianne says, time flies when you're having fun. Yes, the fact that we're the 15th of October already. Betty, good morning to you. Good morning from Niagara. And thank you. Yes, it's good to be back. And Rogue, good morning to you. Sunshine emoji. Monique, smiley emoji, good morning. And Pat, good morning. People, got the peace emojis, smiley emojis. Betty says, much good stuff. Bad stuff happening in our country. Much good stuff, bad stuff happening in our country. Yes, so much good stuff. And that's the thing, right? That's what's going on in our world, good and bad. We hopefully shed some light on all of it as we, discuss the news. Good morning, Holly. Thanks for being here. And Marianne says, always ways to get news out of Canada. Some are aware of what's happening here. That's talking about the government's policies making it impossible to share news on Facebook in Canada. Belinda, good morning to you. Give a man a gun and he'll rob a bank. Give a man a bank and he'll rob the world. We all know who the banker is. Yes, we do have. Let's see. What banker do we know of that comes to mind that everyone knows in Canada? Do you know a banker? Yes, we do. Is he robbing us? Well, if you go to moosechart.com, moosechart.com, and just encourage everyone to do that, and you'll see the conflict of interest between our prime minister and the business dealings that he's now in charge of as the leader of the country, making decisions, making financial decisions for the country. And you'll see all the connections, business connections on moosechart.com. So encourage everyone to go there and you'll see all the conflicts of interest for yourself. These aren't just opinions we have on the show. You can then go to this chart and see all the links between Mark Carney, who is Canada's Prime Minister currently, and all of his business dealings. Before he was Prime Minister, he was, he had business dealings, and he currently does too. He still has investments in companies. And so if he gives a contract to a certain company, you can then look to the connection that he has, and he's going to personally gain wealth from that decision he's making with your tax dollars. He gets rich, his friends get rich, you don't. You get taxed more because apparently you're ruining the planet and you need to be taxed. Okay. Miles, good morning to you. Guess whose minds are blowing up in Canada since they can't focus on enemy Donald Trump has brokered a peace again? ? Oh, how they are attacking conservatives for wanting it scrapped, or wanting to scrap the DEI. Yes. Apparently there's a conservative motion or something at the federal level to scrap DEI initiatives. And you can just take the letters in DEI and just change them around and it's DEI has to die kind of thing, right? So that's the slogan, the campaign slogan. We've had countless discussions about DEI on the show, and although it's well-intended or comes across well-intended, it's kind of a Trojan horse. It's racism in reverse. And it's because it just puts certain ethnicities and certain political focuses first in line. And that's you can't, the very thing it says it's stopping, it's causing more of. It's trying to stop that type of thing, right? You'd think equity and inclusion is the very, equity is equal. We want everything to be equal. We want diversity. They don't want diversity of thought. They want everyone to think the same because you have to be on the one political side, right? You have to only think the same way. So there's no diversity of thought, just diversity of ethnicity, culture, where you're born, color of your skin, these types of things. And then the equalness is just to, I don't know, it's as long as you think the way they do, then you'll be welcomed in, and the inclusion is only included for those who think the same. So it's really not exactly what it sounds like. And if you dig into it, you'll see that's the case, right? It sounds great, but it's not what it sounds like, So do your own research into it. And let's say you had a kindergarten class, and you wanted to really put together this DEI, right? And you're going to have everyone have a race, and you're going to demonstrate DEI in a race. So what would you have to do to have everybody win the race? Think of the effort you'd have to put in to have every child win the race. Cross that finish line at exactly the same time. Nobody being behind or no one being ahead. How much effort would you have to put in? How much would you have to get in the way of the kids that were running faster? And how much would you have to be pushing the kids that weren't running fast enough? So other than just letting them be, and there's a winner, there's a loser, and, preparing them as much as you can, be ahead of the race to do as good as they can do. And if they lose and they're sad, and then there's like, okay, there's a lesson there. And okay, so you didn't win. How come? What were some of the factors? It's as simple as that. In diversity, equity, and inclusion, think of that in terms of a test in a classroom. Some people study, some people don't. Some people are smarter than others. They just are, or they know the material more than others. Can you imagine if you tried to get the same result for every student, to have true equity, the equal outcome? Everyone gets the same score. How much manipulation would you have to get everyone to have the same grade? That's the same thing as DEI in our society. It's the same thing, only on a huger scale with way more devastating results. Instead of just preparing the class as much as you can, giving all the students the tools they need to study, to do what they can do, and supporting them. And then at the end of the day, they do the test. Some will do well, some will not do so well. And the ones who don't do well and they're sad and whatever, well, you can work with them a little bit more. Maybe there's some things, they have a learning disability or something, you can help them with that. But you don't change the test for everyone to make it easier for those that can't do as well. That's what we're doing in our society. We're changing we're saying, Thomas, you have never gotten a 90 before, so today you get a 90. No, you can't do that. You just can't. I've heard a lot about the DEI principles or whatever, policies in the United States, where an airline pilot per se, right? So DEI is being used for airline pilots. Now, would you feel safe getting in a plane knowing that someone just got the job because of the color of their skin, not because they actually know how to fly a plane the best? Right? This is what I'm talking about, outcomes. Sure, you need to give the person the opportunity. They have a different color of skin. And by the way, there's all this hate on for people of a certain skin color. You know what I mean? And it's usually against white people. Like, white people are they're the enemy in today's society, right? Because they're the ones who've been in charge. They've done so much wrong to people. And you're used to hearing that on CBC. You're used to hearing that in your universities. You're used to hearing that. Well, did you know that white people are actually the minority in the world? So look into it yourself. White people are actually the true minority in the world. So if you really want to help minorities, really, it's just you'd have to think, whoa, wait a minute. There's something wrong with that idea of just helping minorities, because white people are the minority in the world. So there's all a way to think outside of what you've been told over and over and over. Now, that doesn't mean one particular color of skin can go out and dominate another and treat them unfairly. That should never happen anyways, anywhere in the world at any time. Everyone needs to treat each other the way they want to be treated and with respect. But you don't try to modify society in a way where it's unnatural anymore, where you're going to have somebody just because of the color of their skin and they're deemed a minority in a certain nation, and we need more people of a certain... So what is diversity anyways? How diverse do we need? Like in the NBA, do we see people in wheelchairs? Because that would be really diverse. Diversity, right? We don't see it in the NBA. We don't see it in sports, and there's a reason for it. If someone with a certain color of skin is the best person to to be on your team and is the best at that position, they pay them the most money they can do to get them on their team. It doesn't matter the color of their skin. It doesn't matter what language they speak or what religion they have, or it really doesn't. They're the best person for that position on that team. And you can see they're going to pay them the most money they could possibly pay them to be on that team because they want to win, if winning is the goal. And wouldn't you think we'd want our company to be the best company it can be? We'd want our university to be the best university it could be. We'd want our country, our city, our world to be the best it can be. Well, then you'd want the best people who are qualified for those positions in the positions, not someone who got in there because they have a certain color of skin. When really we were taught by Martin Luther King that skin should not define a person. It should be the content of their character. Martin Luther King himself. So if you're high up on the DEI, ideology, and that's what you believe in, wouldn't you say that Martin Luther King has some credibility in the conversation? He was an activist for black people, and a great one. And he influenced society in a really awesome way. Wouldn't we all agree with that? Well, then his comments fly in the face of the whole DEI ideology. He would say, no, that's not right. You're just reversing it now. You're giving a black person a job not based on their character, but based on the color of their skin. It goes right against everything he stood for. The best, most qualified person for the position, period. And give everyone the same opportunities to be the best they can be for that position. Right? Like, don't exclude anyone from the opportunities to be that, but don't just give someone a free pass because they come from a different group of people. And Maurice, good morning to you. Thanks for being on. And and good morning, Diane. Thanks for being here as well. So many comments coming on here. I think we're getting all kinds of comments. I'm not going to be able to get through them. We're already kind of far spent in our show. I want to get to a couple local news headlines here from our local news aggregator, Sudbury.news. And thanks for that, Miles. You got me on a bit of a rant this morning, but it is timely. It is what's going on in our country. We are having that debate now, and it's almost like blasphemous to say you don't agree with DEI, and I just wanted to get that out of what DEI actually is. I agree with everything everyone thinks it is. Everyone thinks it's all inclusive. It's kumbaya. It's treating everyone the same and trying to give everyone the same chances. And that's what I'm all for. But DEI isn't the way to do that. It's actually a very flawed ideology in so many ways. And good morning, Andrew. Thanks for being on. It actually it's the opposite. It's not inclusive. It's not equitable. It's not equality. It's the opposite. Okay, so Ontario college support workers reach a tentative deal after more than a month on strike. So that's the support workers from colleges. So your Cambrians, your Collège Boreal. So they're going to look at the deal, and it's a tentative deal. They're going to go back to work on Thursday. And then they are going to vote on it, whether they agree with the deal. That's from CBC's story this morning on Sudbury.news. And then you got Sudbury murder suspect lands on Canada's most wanted list. Singh sits number 10 on Canada's list of the 25 most wanted and faces charges, including party to first-degree murder in relation to the April 21st, 2023 shooting at Overtime Sports Bar and Grill on Notre Dame. So somebody wanted in the murder here in Sudbury for a murder here in Sudbury is on Canada's most wanted list. And for some reason, we had all kinds of viewers at the beginning of the show. And I guess they were interested in the rant, but now less people interested in the local stuff. It's just I'm aware of what's going on here with algorithms. Certain words get the video shared out more for some reason. You say certain words over and over, and Facebook will share it out for some reason. You say certain words they don't like, they'll govern it back from sharing. It's really interesting. I'm just kind of paying attention more to things like that. Ontario's Bill 5 threatens the province's polar bears, says environmental group. Now, this is from CBC. The environmental organization Ontario Nature says Ontario's Bill 5 puts the future of polar bears in the province at risk. Now, this is the thing. So this gets news, these bills that are being passed, Bill 5. How much do you see Bill C 8 or Bill C9 in the news? Threatening Canada's free speech, threatening the very thing, foundation of what our country's been built on. You don't see that in the news. There's a reason for that, right? And good morning, Evelyn. Thanks for being on. It might be because the news gets their pay now mainly from the government, right? So they become state-sponsored media. So environmental groups, yes, they get the news headlines, but when the government's passing draconian bills that go right against our Charter of Freedoms, they don't really cover that too much. Or if they do, it's favorable towards the government side of things. Yes, we all need to be censoring each other more. All these hateful people on these shows just telling people to go out and hate. It's like me, what I was talking about DEI. That could be deemed hate because I didn't agree with it. I don't agree with it. And I explained myself. I thought I explained myself rather well. And I thought I explained myself that people should be treated with respect and treated favorably. And people who deserve the job should get it. Is that terrible? Like if you work really hard at something, it's like the bank saying, oh, you paid into your mortgage. You worked really hard at paying off your mortgage your whole life, but we're just not going to honor that. We're going to give the money you gave for your mortgage to someone else, who didn't work really hard to pay their mortgage. And we're just going to pay off their house, but you still now owe all the money on your house. Like, how would you appreciate that? That's the same thing as not getting a job. You put all the work into the schooling and you had all the experiences and you that was your goal to get this particular job your whole life. But they're going to give it to someone else who didn't do all that work or whatever, but they were born in a certain country or into a certain family and they have a certain color of skin or their gender is a certain gender they chose. And so they get that job. Like that does not make sense. I'm sorry. I don't know on what level it does make sense. It never did make sense. But hey, if I love you just as much as I love the person that worked really hard, but I'm sorry you don't have the qualifications for the job. But you can get those qualifications, and here's how you can do it. You go here, you do this, you do that, just like this other person did. And if you look, let's give you maybe the help to get the education and stuff and get the experience as much as possible. But yeah, it's a really backwards way of thinking. And Amanda, good morning to you. Thanks for being on. So the media is not all that concerned with these bills that are being passed that really end up hurting us. Now, let's see if I can make this bigger so I can actually read it. Sudbury Star, this is coming from yesterday or the day before. We didn't have a show then. So, City of Sudbury plans to unveil a plan to deal with downtown. To fix the downtown, the community must act with compassion and empathy as it moves to solve the homelessness crisis in Greater Sudbury, the CAO says. During a presentation at City Council last week, our city's CAO introduced an action plan driven by the municipality's extensive leadership team. Extensive, yes, that's true. That was a misread by me. It is extensive, but executive leadership team to revitalize the city core and address the homelessness crisis. As economic epicenters, she said, downtowns are too important to ignore. So yes, no, and we know we talk about downtown on the show a lot. We have Bob Johnston on quite a bit talking about the issues downtown. We have city councilors on talking about downtown. We're reading stories from all the news outlets. We don't get it from Facebook because we're not allowed, but we get them other ways, right? Here's something too. So sticking with the city and sticking with Sudbury Star, Greater Sudbury councillors are underpaid, a consultant says. And Sudbury Star had a poll. I don't know if it's still open, but you can go and take their poll on whether you think city councillors are underpaid or not. Despite what some members of the public see as bloated salaries, a consultant has determined Greater Sudbury's councillors are actually being paid too little compared to their peers in other Ontario municipalities. Right? A report going to the Finance Committee next week indicates council salaries are slightly lower than the median. At $50,000, the average councillor in Greater Sudbury earns about $1,200 less than individuals who serve in other jurisdictions. Well, $1,200 a year, I mean, that could buy you what? 5 loaves of bread these days in the grocery store? It's actually not that off of the median. $1,200. They're already paying paid $50,000. It's right around $50,000, right? So it's a part-time job. It's supposed to be a part-time job anyways. I know these days especially, and we've had Mike on recently, Perrant, Ward 5 councillor. He says it feels like a full-time job, and I can see how that is. I'm not that removed. And good morning, Ronald. Thanks for being on. And thank you very much for the compliment, Ronald. And same back to you. And our thoughts and prayers are with you in your fight for your daughter and her situation with the courts and with the legal system as you were trying to get justice for your daughter. That's Ronald Chiasson. If you want to go on his Facebook page, you can see what he's been going through and see if there's anything you can do to support him. But yeah, so take this poll if you feel the city councillors are underpaid or not. You can share your 2 cents. Now, let's see here. So Bill C2, Bill C8, Bill C9, the Online Harms Act. This is coming to our country, and there are a few dangers with it. And we want to talk about this just at the end of the show as we head out a little bit of a deep dive today.
Canada could turn into a police state by Christmas, and no one's paying attention. Right now, while everyone's distracted, a stack of bills, C2, C8, C9, and the so-called Online Harms Act are being rushed through Parliament. On paper, they sound harmless. Safety, protection, moderation. But dig a little deeper, and you'll see the pattern. Each one chips away at something different. Your speech, your privacy, your ability to challenge the system. They claim it's about safety and protection, but it's the oldest play in the book, control disguised as care. First, they censor hate, then misinformation, then you. Once algorithms decide what's harmful, free speech dies quietly behind code and policy. And the faster they pass it, the less anyone can question it. And the scariest part? It's not a debate. These laws are being rammed through as fast as possible. No time to question, no time to resist. Are these bills really about safety or about silencing anyone who asks the wrong questions? Because if Canada falls into a police state by Christmas, how long before the rest of the world follows? What happens when freedom becomes conditional? You be the judge. If you're awake, you already know what to do. See our official website through the link in our bio. Support the movement and show where you stand.
So there you go, right? So how come the media is really not talking about this? That's what media is there to do. It's there to be a watchdog, to inform people of what's going on in their countries and, be whistleblowers, basically be whistleblowers as to if something's going on. Like, they do it for certain things, but not other things. And that's the problem. Like, they pick and choose what types of things they want people to be alarmed about. And the things they really don't need to be alarmed about, like polar bears aren't going anywhere, but yet they have the headlines to scare everyone that the polar bears are going to be threatened. You know what I mean? Like, but yet things that are actually going to threaten you, they don't really report on, which is crazy. But here you go. So, Sherry Lynn from our Valley East Communities has shared this story here. Sudbury City Councilor pushes province to cover losses from speed camera ban. So we'll end with a local story here. A motion from Ward 11 Councillor Bill Leduc is heading to Greater Sudbury City Council on October 21st, calling on Ontario government to reimburse the city for all costs and lost revenue if Premier Doug Ford moves ahead with his ban for municipal cameras to be banned, which he's described as a tax grab. So we operate 6 mobile cameras in the city rotated among high-speed areas. The city officials say the cameras have successfully reduced speeding, but Ford insists they are other non-financial ways to promote road safety. Municipalities had asked to keep cameras at least in school zones. Well, I didn't know there was any in school zones to begin with. None that I know of. The only 2 places I've known that are in school zones were in high schools, in front of Confederation and Llewellyn. Those are the only 2 I know of that were in school zones. The only 2. And they were high schools. So if you were actually going to say to yourself, these were for safety, which is what the city has said, they're for safety, where would you think the place they would put these cameras would make the most sense and, keep people safe and make the most difference for the most vulnerable? Where would these cameras make the most sense? In front of elementary schools, dear Watson, right? But none, zero, nada, nothing. So they're not for safety. That's where you'd want the kids to be the safest kids, but they're not there. They're on highways where people, if you're going 70 or you're going 60, there's no difference in your safety. Zero. 75 and 60, 80 and 60, no difference. But yet if you go 80 in the 60 where the camera is, hey, they can make a lot of money, right? I'm so against these cameras. I've been so against them from the beginning. And there's so much opposition. I'm not alone. I know that. There's so many people for them too. But I'm definitely not. So if I'm putting my hat in the ring or I'm putting my chips on a certain part of the board, it's for no cameras. Anyways, so they're going to want some money back. It's not about the money though. It's not about the money, but they want their money back from the province. It's about safety. Safety. And they all agree that these cameras have slowed people down. So they work. No, Show us how much safer they've made our roads. Show us the statistics of accidents and people harmed in these areas. And then show us how it's reduced that, because that's safety. Oh, but speed kills. We know that. Oh, yeah? Does 20 over the speed limit kill more than the speed limit? Show us those statistics. You don't have them. You never did. And you can't get them. They don't exist. And you don't talk about when these speed limits were made, what year were they made in? How safe were cars back there? How good was the technology and with winter tires and seat belts and all the safety features that cars have now compared to when those speeds were first put into place? So you don't talk about that. That the very machines we're driving are way safer these days and have way more technology in them to keep us safer. And so we might be able to go a little faster and still be more safe than back in the day when those speed limits were first posted and determined. Right? We don't talk about that. So we don't have the full conversation. It is a tax grab. Just admit it and move on. But that's all the show we got. Speaking of moving on, that's all the time we got for the show today. We'll be back same time, same place on the same platforms. God willing, tomorrow. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Have a great Wednesday, hump day, everyone. And remember to stay aware, like, share, take care, and God bless. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.